The Kevin Durant trade watch is on, and now we know what the Suns are expecting to get in return for their star. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Hit that subscribe button. Push us over the top to 20,000 subscribers here on the channel. Joined by Donnie Freeman. Donnie, it seems like it is just a matter of time before Kevin Durant leaves the desert. He is going to be traded by the Phoenix Suns. We had a lot of questions, though, on what exactly would they want in return. Now it looks like we've got that answer.
Yeah, we actually were just talking about that. Like, which avenue are they going to try to go with KD trades? And it's interesting. We do have that answer here. Do we need like some sort of like drop for our channel? I know that you've got the Kevin cannon. Do we need something similar?
Maybe we might have to do some type of like breaking news drop or something very serious. We'll have to do something. And we'll get that all put together. But here, this is Dwayne Rankin as aggregated by NBA Central. The Phoenix Suns would be seeking 3 first-round picks. Well, the direct quote, sources inform the Arizona Republic, that most ideal return on a Durant trade, is regaining 3 first-round picks and a young player as part of a multi-team trade tied to getting under the second apron. Oh, my goodness. So really, Donnie, when we look at that, that's not 3 first-round picks and a young player. That's 3 first-round picks, a young player, and save a bunch of money. Those are 3 things they want in the trade: picks, young player, and save money. It's not just 2 there.
That's really hard to do. That's like a multi-team trade easily. I don't know that you can go to any one team and get that accomplished.
No, and that's why they're saying
it's the Thunder, I guess.
I mean, I suppose the Thunder, but that's why they're saying it would be a multi-team trade. But right now, if they're going to get under the second-tier apron, they are $11.4 million above the second-tier apron next season currently. I think there's a couple of things here. First of all, I don't think this is realistic. I don't think this kind of return. Kevin Durant is great, but you can't change the fact that he's 36 years old. I don't think you're getting. If that young player is an end of the bench guy, maybe, or something like that, but you're not getting a quality young player, 3 real first-round picks, plus saving a ton of money on the deal. And as you mentioned, there's not a lot of teams out there that can even absorb very much money in a trade here. So, but again, the Suns, they are more than welcome to ask. I don't think they're going to get it, but they could certainly ask for this, right?
What is saving money? Is that just a short-term deal? Like no long-term salary?
Saving money would be, is there a team that can send out far less than they take back in a trade?
Okay,
Meaning, can you borrow a team's cap space? Could it be, the Brooklyn Nets are the team that have the biggest cap space. The Brooklyn Nets are probably saying, hey, we'll rent out our cap space to you, but it's going to cost you. And that's, that's the way they could do that. But again, the 3 first, I think it's interesting that they're not looking for win now pieces, which maybe ties in with, if you've seen the odds lately, Mike Budenholzer over on BetUS right now, he is a plus 800 to be the next coach fired in the NBA. It's only a few head coaches ahead of him: Nick Nurse, Darko Rajakovic, Willie Green, Will Hardy, Charles Lee, and then Mike Budenholzer. And honestly, I think I could make the case he should be even higher than some of those guys. In Phoenix, you saw that moment the other day where Kevin Durant, when Budenholzer put his arm on KD and KD ripped his arm away. Clearly things aren't right in Phoenix right now.
Well, winning cures all, and unfortunately losing has the opposite effect. So,
but that is very true. By the way, if you guys agree with those odds or you don't and you want to get in on it, you can go check out BetUS. Use our promo code YouTube150. Get a $2,000 sign up, or get a 150% sign up bonus on your first $2,000. You guys can go check that out. When I do look at what the Suns want back, I think this is a bigger conversation too. When we talked about just the other day that the Suns essentially win against the CBA, right?
Yeah.
In putting their 3 stars together, that part of their desire in a Kevin Durant trade is to save money to drop below the second-tier apron. To me, Donnie, that says they're admitting that they made a mistake, and now they're going to try to fall in line in the new reality of the NBA.
There's just no reason to, regardless, there's no reason to, if you're going to trade Kevin Durant, which in theory should be knocking you down a peg from what your projection was anyway,
Mhm.
for your team success. There's no reason to be a second apron team at that point. There's not much reason now, but they forced it. But there's no reason at that point, especially. So they definitely need to take a step back and make a move in terms of the way that their roster is built. And I think that's the smart decision because, like we said in our previous video, like we've talked about this whole time, they don't really have options. They've got to get rid of one of these three guys.
Well, they got to get rid of one of these three guys, but it's interesting that the priorities are young talent, picks, and save money.
All three of these guys may be gone soon.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, how does Devin Booker feel about that? Like, because my thought process was, okay, they're going to add a couple of guys. They're going to turn Kevin Durant into a couple of players, maybe three players. They're going to take that $54.7 million salary for next year. They're going to chop it up, and it's going to be two guys who make 20 million each and one dude who makes 14 or something or 10 or whatever. And that's how they're going to proceed here. They're going to turn it into three players that can all defend, can all shoot the three, and will fit alongside Devin Booker. This report says the opposite. This report says, oh, no, they want a young player and they want first-round draft capital. They could turn that draft capital into win-now pieces, but how does Devin Booker feel if that's the return for Kevin Durant? Because that would be, to me, that would be a pretty clear sign they're going to take a step back and build for the future.
Yeah, that may be the smart decision, just giving the timetable with Booker, him being 28 already. I don't know that they've got a few years to kind of waste on a rebuild in terms of him. And he probably wants to try to win at this point. You know, they turned a team that was in the finals a couple years ago into this mess, and they've got to find their way out of it. Now, I think the tricky thing is with him, does he want to go to a certain location? Does he have any flexibility on that? I think he's locked up, so I don't know if he can force his destination or anything like that. They may take the best. Well, Durant's different because it's the opposite. I don't know how they're getting all that with Durant when he's got 1 year on the deal unless he's going to extend immediately. But Booker, he's locked up, so I don't really know in terms of that. But yeah, back to the Durant piece. They've got to trade him, but it's going to be really hard to ask for. Setting aside the fact that he's 36, injury prone, all that stuff. It's hard when he's got 1 year left on the deal. He's going to steer his destination. Like, I don't exactly. He already steered his destination just last month. I don't know what they can really do.
He was going to go to the Warriors and he said, no, thank you. I don't want to be a Warrior again. Yeah, and he was worried about how much the team he'd be going to would have to give up in order to get him. And then that team not having enough to win. So if Kevin Durant, you're right, he could definitely steer his destination because he could simply say, hey, you know what? You could trade me to, I'll pick a random, the Orlando Magic. I don't want to go there though. I don't like Disney World that much. And so you could trade me, and Orlando Magic, you could trade for me, but I am gone next summer. I will not stay.
Again. It's the same thing.
Right. And I'm going to be pissed off the whole time. Right. Like and then teams will say, okay, well, never mind. We're not going to trade for you then. So the Suns getting this top dollar return for Kevin Durant when he can limit his market to maybe 2-3 teams, whatever it is that he wants. I find that very, very unlikely that they're going to really check all of those boxes in a Kevin Durant trade, as admittedly talented as he is.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. The only team, and like you mentioned off the top, OKC, like they could give that kind of a package for Kevin Durant if they wanted. They've got the assets to do it. Yeah. Maybe a Kevin Durant homecoming with the Thunder, but
didn't we
even
talk
then,
about that
I don't know.
Recently in a video? Like if he could actually do that.
Yeah.
Like, the optics on that would be terrible if he steered his way there after they just won a championship, for example.
They have to not win. You're right.
Yeah, but if they lose somewhere, like in the, let's say, second round or whatever, instead of like a 7-game conference final or something, but like in the second round, then sure. But like anything other than that, I think it just looks really bad given Durant's history if he tries to force his way to a team that's ready made for a championship like that already.
Sure, because then he could say, I'm not just riding coattails. I'm the piece that puts them over the top. Exactly. Then he can make that if he winds up with, say, the Thunder. He doesn't want to go to the Warriors. The Warriors wanted him. He said, no, I don't want to go there. Don't want to go back to that. Maybe that changes this summer. Who knows? He can always change his mind. But what about the Rockets? I mean, they've got a bunch of Phoenix picks. They've got young players. I know they want Devin Booker, and we talked about Booker to the Rockets the other day. But what if could the Rockets be a team? I don't know that the Rockets should. Just
what about
because
another
of his
Texas
age.
Team though? the Mavericks they've had their name thrown out there in terms of like a destination for Durant.
God, could you imagine if the Mavs then the injury issues they've had? But you know what? Maybe
That
that would
timeline is
be
crazy.
you team up Kyrie and KD again,
And
and you go and you add in Anthony Davis, and at least KD and AD can keep things afloat while Kyrie is returning from his ACL injury next year.
that timeline
Maybe
is
that
crazy.
makes some sense, but still, Mark Stein reported today that he's not, that the reporting is stronger than the actual interest is right now for KD to Dallas. But maybe they make some sense if they're just like, hey, we're committed. Let's try to buy our way out of this and add another guy just to try to keep us afloat while Kyrie comes, because Kyrie being out, he may be out a good chunk of next year too, and that's the concern for Dallas now.
I think he's missing like half the season. So yeah, that's probably optimistic. I don't know, especially with him being a smaller guard. I just wonder about his return from that. But yeah, in terms of Durant, he's just I don't know if this is going to happen. So then, what's the compromise if you're Phoenix? What are you willing to take if you're not getting all that?
So that's where you get into the non-real first round picks or first round picks that are later, maybe something like that. Maybe it's 2 firsts and one of them is protected or something. And then of course it depends on who that young player is. If that young player is Cooper Flagg, that's a much different situation than if that young player is somebody else who's good. Is it Max Christie gets repackaged, who we both like a lot, but he gets repackaged from the Mavs. That's not going to carry as much value though. So I think that's part of the question too. And then the thing is, there's wiggle room on the picks, there's wiggle room on the player, because there's going to be a sliding scale for the value of those picks and the value of that player. You're either under the second apron or you're not.
Yeah.
So that's what are they willing to give on? Are they willing to give on the picks? And are they willing to give on getting under the second apron? Because there is no middle ground there. You could turn, instead of 3 first-round picks, you could say, okay, well, instead we'll take 2, or we'll take 1 and multiple seconds, or whatever. You could say, instead of your best young player, give us your second best young player. It could be something like that. But you're either over or under the second apron. There's no in between. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not that's something they'll budge on.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wonder, like, what team is in a position where they can give up one of their top young talents and add Durant, and with the idea that they'd have to basically win it all in like a year or 2. Otherwise, the trade's not really worth it.
I mean, doesn't that scream Golden State?
Okay, well, who's the young guy? Is it Kuminga? Is he going to get an extension? Is it who? Moody? Is it Pods?
Pods. They've got a few guys.
They've got some good guys there for sure, but like
Kuminga,
it'd have to be a team that's on an expedited timeline. Do you want to trade for Kuminga and have to pay him instantly?
And Kuminga, you can't even do a sign and trade, because the sign and trade would trigger a hard cap for Phoenix at the first apron and not the second apron. That's so that would be that gets obviously very complicated. But that's just a team that pops into mind that is in that kind of definite win now type mode, that maybe has a bit of an older squad. But then Miami is always going to have interest in these kind of guys. What about New York? If they come up short somehow, that's another one.
They'd be flipping an older guy for old guy too, though. They wouldn't have a young guy to give up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's where, like, I don't know how they can hit all this. It's obviously multi-team. He lists it here, but like, I don't know how you get all this stuff unless there's a lot of teams involved.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Look, keep in mind, this is coming from Arizona. This is the Arizona Republic. This is coming from the Phoenix side.
No, it's just the Republic.
They can wish for the yes, I know, but they can wish for whatever they want, right? Doesn't mean they're absolutely going to get it. I mean, look, remember the Brooklyn Nets, right? At the trade deadline this year, they said, "Oh no, we have to get a first round pick for Dennis Schroeder." They accepted seconds. We have to get a first round pick for Dorian Finney-Smith. They accepted seconds. Teams can put out there they want stuff, and right now, maybe it's even better for the Suns that they put this out there right now, or rather than, hey, we'll take a first and an okay player or something for him. Not that I'm saying they would ever really do that, but why not try to set the price high and then you can be bargained down a little bit rather than be more realistic in this moment here when they can't, even if they wanted to trade him right now today, they can't. So why bother putting a low or reasonable asking price out there?
Yeah, that's true. All right, so last question. Over under on who the last man standing is from the three in Phoenix a couple years from now.
I am rooting for chaos and overall hilarity, and that it's Bradley Beal that is the last man standing.
Beal. He's going to be the last man standing. I think that's the safest bet. Because we've already seen, like, here's the thing, like with the Booker piece, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. But we're already seeing guys where their teams are doing or have done something similarly where it's like, oh, they're going to wonder what's going on. Like Trae Young is kind of like, what's going on? He might be on the market this offseason. Sabonis, there was a report with him the other day where it's like he needs to get clarity from the front office as to what the plans are going for. If this team trades for young guys and picks that aren't going to be in a win now state, Booker's probably the next guy on that list. And I'm not rooting for him to get traded or ask out, but it's just the way that the modern NBA is. So I do wonder if that's the situation they're in. And Beal seems like he is like, I'm going to stay and I'm going to play wherever I want to be at. And my family doesn't want to leave, so we're not leaving.
Well, you know what happened? He spent his career so far playing in Washington. And I don't know if you've been to our nation's capital around wintertime, but oh my goodness, it is a mite bit chilly. Let's say that. And then you go spend your winter in the desert. There's a reason why snowbirds exist, why people travel down from up north to go to Arizona. I can tell you this, look, it still gets cold, but nowhere near the wind whipping through DC the way it does. Bradley Beal probably experienced that Arizona winter and said, hell no, I'm not leaving.
I wouldn't blame him if it's that bad. But yeah, like I said a few times, like I don't blame him for not wanting to leave. He doesn't have to leave. They give him that ability. And so with that being the case, they don't really have options. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is the last man standing.
And the Suns they'd not be thrilled if that was the situation. But there's nothing they can do about it. They knew this. You can't even turn him into
a $50 million expiring in his last year because he could stay. He could say he wants to stay there or not.
No thanks.
That's crazy.
Yep. This is why, bigger picture, I think no trade clauses are gone, except for like the extreme situations, like a LeBron, someone like that. You know what I mean? Where you're just making money hand over fist just by having the dude on your roster.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think teams, this will be the cautionary tale for the next decade for any team that's even considering giving a player no trade clause. People are going to go, oh, no. Did you see what happened with Bradley Beal and the Suns? Yeah. We're not doing it.
These are hard to get anyway. It's like these are hard to qualify for in the first place. And there's not very many of them. That's why there's only 2 in the entire league. It's just one of them happens to be on the Phoenix team right now. So they're really stuck. Like I said, even these other bad contracts, you can maybe say, all right, we can sell this guy in his last year and a half and get off this deal. You can't do that with Beal if you wanted to. So
nope. No, you can't. No, you can't. All right, everybody. Well, let us know in the comment section. Do you think that the Suns can get anywhere near this asking price of 3 first-round picks, a young player, and save money and get under that second apron? Give us your thoughts in the comment section. Go check out our most recent video giving you an update on everything going on in the playoff races around the NBA. Go check that out right now.